Hello, welcome to Excelling Kids and Families page here on Facebook and Excelling Youth Club for those watching from YouTube. We are so excited to come your way today, and we are so glad and so privileged to be with you this evening. It might be this afternoon or this morning, wherever you are watching us from. We are so thankful to God, as always, for the opportunity to come your way. And we've got an amazing lesson for our young people today. So if you have just stumbled on us, yes, that's what we do every Monday, 7 p.m. We come here and we engage our young people in a live, transforming lesson, a life transformation lesson that will transform their heart and their minds, and it will help them in the course of life. And we are so glad for all the support and all the encouragement that we have been receiving so far. It's such a privilege, it's such an honor, and we do not take it for granted. And we say thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody. And as you can see on my on the screen right now, another exciting news is like this year. It has been an awesome year, and we are so grateful. Our very first our maiden book, our very first book is out. It's out coming soon, and very, very soon it will be available for you to get your copy. Yes, it's going to be in the ebook first, because you know how the world is right now. Everything is online at the moment, so it's a lot easier to download your copy as an ebook. So please keep looking out for our great book, The Friendship Choices. This book is loaded. This book is packed. In fact, the reviews, the praises that I've received for this book, for myself, I am overwhelmed, and I'm just so grateful. I am just so happy, and I'm so glad that this book is coming to serve the purpose for which I received it, for which it was written for. And I'm so glad that we are able to bring it, especially at this point in time, with everything that is going around. It is bound to affect our friendship. It is bound to affect the way we relate to others. And it's so important that as young people we are equipped. And even as adults, I've had parents read a book and they are like, wow, we wish we had this book when we were teenagers. Some said, well, it's not too late. They're still going to apply some of the tools, some of the nuggets that they have received from the book. And I'm so glad. So please do look out for it. Keep praying for us that it will, be published right on schedule, right on time, for all of us to benefit from this amazing book. So thank you, everybody. Yes, we are announcing our book, our maiden book, Friendship Choices. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and it should be here soon. Thank you so much, and we are so glad that you are able to join us. Why don't you call somebody and let somebody call somebody that our lesson is here, is live, and we are about to start. And we thank God. We thank God. We thank God. We thank God. Right. So today, wow, the title of the lesson itself, it is an interesting one. Lepers who are wealthy. Wow, lepers who are wealthy. So if you want to get your notebooks at this point in time, that would be very helpful, and get your pen and obviously our wonderful favorite textbook, the Bible. Keep it handy. We shall be referring to it today. Now, today we are talking about how to change, or how to turn setbacks into triumphs. How to change setbacks into triumphs. And we'll be explaining all those words for those of our younger kids that do not understand it. Now, setbacks in lives, these are situations or circumstances that delays things happening, great things coming to us, or that causes us to stop progressing. An example of these things can be accidents that might happen in our lives, some mistakes that we might do ourselves. It could be sickness, it could be a loved one passing on, it could be even a disability, it could be lack of education, It could be, the environment that we live in, the community that, might come from a poor family, we might come from a poor neighborhood, a poor country. All these situations can be situations that can cause us delays or can stop our progress in life. And we refer these examples as setbacks, but most commonly to our, to the young age, will be even failing an exams. That can be a setback in your life that can hinder, you moving ahead or moving on to the next level in your education. It could be even lack of education. People, unfortunately, may still not have access to education, and that's a great setback in their lives. But how can they turn these setbacks into triumphs? And triumphs simply means great achievement or victory. How can they turn all these sad stories around to their victory, to something that they can celebrate? So that is what we are talking about today, and it's a very, very important topic, because as we all know, with everything that has happened this year, it is bound to set all of us back. It's bound to hinder our progress. Even at school, many of you are having to stay at home for months because of the coronavirus. And some too, you went back to school, but you have to come back in isolation because somebody has tested positive. And so all these things can be a setback in our lives, can hinder us from progressing. It can cause delays in our lives, and we might have to catch up even in our education. But can we turn all these setbacks into triumphs? Can we turn it into a success story? And that is what we are going to talk about today. Now, let's listen to the story of the 4 lepers. They were not wealthy to begin with. I know we've titled it the 4 wealthy lepers. So who are lepers? Lepers are people that have got a very bad skin disease. Skin conditions is not very common now. But back in the Bible days, people had those diseases, and unfortunately, they did not have any cure for that disease. And it meant that the people that suffered this sickness, they had to stay outside of the city. They were not allowed to stay among the people in the community. So can you imagine, when you are sick, you want somebody to be there caring for you. But this is a type of sickness that you are not allowed to stay with people. Again, it's like the situation we have now with Corona, you have to isolate yourself, but at least people will put face masks and some protection clothing to come and still look after you. The doctors will still put protective clothing on and still come and care for you. But back in the Bible days, this kind of people, God forbid, if they had coronavirus, they would have been thrown outside of the city. There would have not been anybody to care for them. And that was a similar situation for the lepers. They were kept outside the gate of the city. Now, Kings in your Bible, you can write it down, 2 Kings chapter 7, and you can read the whole account for yourself. Then a time came in that city called Samaria, where a great famine had started in this city. And famine simply means what? Shortage of food. So there was not enough food to go around. And the little food that was left, guess what? It was so expensive. Now, when I tell you some of the the food that it was so expensive, I'm sure some of you might throw up. But just to give you an idea of the extent of the famine, apparently the head of a horse cost so much that even the rich people could not afford. And the bird's poo was also being sold so expensive. I know I can hear some of you going, did I hear you say the bird's poo? Yes, the bird's poo was even so expensive, people could not afford because there was no food. So if the people in the city had no food, can you imagine these lepers outside of the city gate? They would have been starving to death. they would have been starving to death. But they did something. They did something. They realized that they were in a setback to begin with. They had this disease, they were alone, and now they are starving. So that is great, setback in their lives. But what did they do? The Bible tells us that they came together and they thought about the situation. So they reasoned together. They began to assess the situation that they were in and thought, okay, so what is the best option for us right now? And they thought, wow, if we continue to stay outside, right? I've got a picture of the lepers right there. I almost forgot to share it with you. So that's the picture of the lepers right there, the 4 lepers right there, thinking to themselves, like, what do we do if we stay outside these gates? There's no food. We are going to starve to death. If we go to the next city, well, they might give us food or they might kill us, but whichever way, we must try. Whichever way, we must try. So they thought to be proactive. Now, last week we learned about proactive and reactive. So this is a classic example of people being proactive. So the lepers decided that yes, they could complain, they could mourn, they could blame it on their sickness, they could blame it on the city for throwing, the likes of themselves outside. But they said, no, we can do something. They got up and made a decision to go to the next city. Now, something amazing happened. As they got to the city, guess what? There was no one in that city. And they were surprised. But little did they know that according to the account of the Bible, that the people, the Arameans who lived in that city, had like an army on their horses coming against them, so they had fled. God had caused them to hear the mighty sound of an army chasing and coming for them, so they fled. And that was how, when the lepers got there, the 4 lepers got there, the whole city, or the camp, it was a camp, actually the whole camp was empty. And this camp was a camp which had lots of food, unlike the lepers' own city, Samaria, that had shortage of food, that were starving. Compared to this camp, there were plenty of food. There were silver, there were gold, there were treasures. Suddenly, these poor, miserable lepers that were, outcasts, that were put out of the gate, that were afflicted with disease, that were starving to death, the moment they took that proactive decision and took the action to go find food, go next to the next city, to go to the next camp, guess what? They met a great opportunity. And that opportunity was that there were plenty of food in that camp. There were plenty of gold and silver and treasures in that camp. And you can imagine, after being starved for days, probably months, they had lots of food and they ate and ate and ate. So they were so satisfied. And they began to collect the gold and the silver to go and keep some for themselves. But then they took another proactive decision. They took another proactive step. They thought to themselves, if we, stay here alone and enjoy all this food and all these treasures alone, then we have not done well. But instead, we will go back to our city and tell them what we have seen, and tell the king that we have found food and treasure. And indeed, they went back. I mean, they could have reacted in that situation and said, what? In fact, that Samaria city that has thrown us lepers out to starve to death, in fact, they could also starve for all we care. But look, they did not react. They did not, pay the evil with evil. They paid the evil with kindness. And that is acting proactively. And they triumphed in the end, because In the end, they look at their story in the Bible, and the whole city would have hailed them. From then onwards, they were not known as the poor lepers anymore, but they have become rich lepers. And I'm sure that they could find the money now to look for the cure for their disease. So this is a great lesson for us, that when we are proactive, when we think our decisions through and make the best of choice and actually put it to action, we meet an opportunity. And those opportunities are so great for our lives, and it leads us to that victory and that great achievement that we deserve. So in every setback that we find ourselves in, we should always look in that setback for a great opportunity, and not look, and not allow the setback to weigh us down, and not allow the situation to make us, just live anyhow, but to think that we can do it, we can make it. And there is also another man story that I came across, and again, that story is so inspiring. This man has experienced two accidents in his lifetime. One was he was on his motor and he got hit by a big truck. The other one, he was on an airplane that came down in an accident. So about 65% of his body is bent. Yet still, the amazing things that this man is achieving is beyond what anybody could even, consider doing. And he made a statement that is also so profound. That is a statement that I think we have to hear it. He said that before all of his tragic accidents, he could do 10,000 things. Now, after the accidents, he can do only 9,000 of those. Now, he could spend the rest of his life dwelling on that 1,000 that he can't do anymore, or he can focus on the 9,000 that are left that he can do. And being a proactive person, he focused on the 9,000 that he is able to do rather than the 1,000 that he can't do. And many a times we are tempted to consider the things that we can't do and put all our energy and our focus on that, whereas we forget about all the other many things that we can do, and to let our focus be on the ones that we can't do. And the ones that we can't do, leave that aspect to God. And it's so important. You may ask, wow, maybe being proactive is all for the grown-ups, it's all for the adults. What about children? Wow, what about children? You can be proactive as well. There's an incredible, news that came during just after the COVID, just after the lockdown, the first lockdown, of this amazing girl in Milton Keynes. I even shared that story on our Excelling Kids page, that has written her first novel. And she said that she has always dreamt of writing a novel. And during the lockdown, that was the time that she could get extra time, because during lockdown, you didn't go to school, you didn't have to go to school. And so being at home, you had a bit of time, a bit of spare time. And she used hers proactively to write her novel. And I believe that many of you listening to me also used your time proactively. Maybe you didn't know that you were being proactive, but now you know that that was a proactive action. You can begin to do more of it till it has become part of you. Being proactive has helped me a lot. When I was a child, I didn't even know that that was called proactiveness. But now I look back and I realize, wow, I should have done some more. I should have taken more proactive actions. But the little that I took, I realized that it turned my setbacks into triumphs. And some of the setback was like not having my parents with me growing up. I saw that that was a great setback for many people. For some people, not having their parents there meant that they didn't want to go to school anymore. They used that as an excuse. But I thank God that I did not use that as an excuse. And many people did not also use that as an excuse. And they made sure that they did whatever they could to prepare their lives ready for a great future. So yes, as young as you are, you can also be proactive. So proactiveness, as we talked about last week and as we have seen in the examples, is simply putting your faith into action, thinking through and assessing the setback and finding the best way to overcome them. And when you have done that and you have encouraged yourself and you have taken the steps, that is when you meet a great opportunity. And just like the four lepers, when they met their opportunity, they maximized that opportunity. They saved some of the wealth for the future. Then they also went ahead to tell the people in their city. And I am sure from that day onwards, they were not looked down anymore as any ordinary poor tattered lepers, but instead they were well looked after. They were hailed in their community for bringing them the food and bringing the treasures that were so desperately needed. They did not only maximize the opportunity to save themselves, but they maximized it to save their entire city. So as you take proactive steps in your education, with your family, in your games, in your friendships, in whatever area of your life as a young person, when you take a proactive action, make sure that the opportunity that you meet, you maximize it. And as I always encourage you, if you don't know, always ask for help. That is why your parents and your guardians, your teachers are in your life, and they'll be able to help you to maximize the opportunities that are ahead of you. So we hope that today's lesson has been a blessing to you. As we said, we no longer do the 1 hour long lesson. We only do it for half an hour. And we know that as we give it to you in bite size, you will be able to use it to help transform your life, to make your life so much better than ours, the older generation. That is our desire, that your life will be so much better than what we are currently having. And we pray that God will continue to help you. So as always, if you have any questions, please, let your parents send us a messenger or comment below, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. So we will come your way, God willing, next week. Don't miss it. If you came late, please do make sure that you go back and rewatch it. It's only for half an hour. And I'm just saying, we are so grateful. We are celebrating our launching, our maiden book that is going to be launched soon. And we are so grateful, and we are thanking God for this amazing book. The reviews that is attracting is just beyond. The reviews that we have gotten already for the book, we are so grateful for that. And we are saying to everybody that get ready, get ready, get ready. I am so excited, and I hope that you are excited too. So keep us in your prayers, and we know that when you get this book, your life will be transformed. It will help you to be a proactive friend. Yes, even in your friendship, you can be proactive, and you go a long way to help you and your friends now and in the future. So may God richly bless you. May God keep you. May God protect you until we come your way again next week. Take care and have a great time. Bye. Bye. I'm looking through all the comments. Thank you so much, Pastor Augustine. God bless you. Thank you so much, everybody that came on board. We are so glad that you were able to join us. Thank you, and God richly bless you. Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Aaron. God bless you. Bye for now. Bye.